Good morning, friends. It's Julie, and today we are going to go to Marketplace 3301, where I have two antique booths, antique vintage, and one of them needs a lot of help. I have just kind of getting things in and shoving it in, and I got a few things from another booth that was closing, so I shoved them in. There's no rhyme or reason, so it's kind of looking like a hot mess. So we're going to rearrange, and I'm going to share with you a few tips on how I'm going to how to arrange things if you have a booth, and then we'll see where the road takes us. So let's get going. Well, here we are at Marketplace. Got my trusty wagon, and let's go in. In the second booth, this is the one that needs to work, and I'll show you why. It's like a hot mess. I mean, this is hanging out somewhere. There's no rhyme or reason for this being here. This has kind of gotten changed. So I've got a few rearrangements I have in mind, and we'll see if it works. Alrighty, it is done for today, but not perfect, but it's better. So let's take a look. The first thing I did was I moved out the shelf that was here, this shelf, put it over here, put my bar cart, start of the bar area. Just a few little tweaks, brought the chair over here, make it more open to this area. Still have my Christmas, and then I built this up just by stacking crates. Made sure they were sturdy enough. So what I'm going to do is take this tree and bring it to the front. Well, actually, just move it out maybe. Maybe that'll be okay. And that's about it. Oh, and I'm going to put up my sale signs. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought. I was expecting to do a little bit more, but there was room on that side of the wall for the cart, because if there wasn't, I was going to move that other stack of crates. It looks a little better. It's not the best. I put everything on a 25% off sale. November is actually one of the best months because everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and after that, people aren't really antiquing shopping as much. They're thinking about retail stores and gifts. Even December is not great for antique booths. Some antique shop owners, they like to put out things for Christmas after Thanksgiving. That actually is not a good plan because all the people have already started, they want to be ready to decorate at that point. So you need to put it in at least at the beginning of November, if not October, in order so you can get it in for the people and help them to get in the mood for Christmas. Thanksgiving, I mean, October, great sales for Halloween. Thanksgiving, tiny bit. I don't really go out of my way to get anything Thanksgiving anymore, because it doesn't sell very well. Unfortunately, poor Thanksgiving and Christmas. So as soon as my stuff started to sell out in before October, I started to move in Christmas. So that was my plan, and it actually worked really good. I have probably sold about a third or more of my Christmas already. This weekend we're going to have a sip and shop where people can, it's an extra a night out on Saturday where you can come in and do a little extra shopping. So I wanted to make sure to have my sale out, and all of my Christmas. I had a feeling that there was an extra box of Christmas at my house that I just couldn't find. And I went through that little closet in the back of my office, and at the very bottom, there it was. So I'm glad that I had excavated my office to that point. So now all of it is out. So some of the tips from when I was setting up that extra booth and the Christmas stuff is that you need to have a focal point in your booth. So for me, I have a couple focal points in each booth, depending on the way that you look into it. One of the focal points in my second booth, which I rearranged today, is the Hoosier cabinet, because it is big piece of furniture. You really can't miss it. It's lovely. And I put even stuff on top of it to add impact to it. And the second focal point right now is the table with the Christmas trees. It's not a highly, interesting table that it's on, but it's the Christmas, the stuff on top. And you also want to do like a triangle shape, because it draws the eye and it draws interest. So it doesn't have to be right smack in the middle of the table. It can be off to the side. If it works better for you. It can even be something that you stack on the wall behind you, or a picture that you put on the wall behind it, that you just want it to have that, like an angle. Because people are drawn to that, and then it draws the eye. It's interesting more than just a table with just stuff stacked on top of it. So that is one of the things I try to do. And then you want to add different textures. So it's easy to have glassware and those kinds of layer, but then maybe you want to add a metal and some greenery, maybe some books, all the wood. So just get all the different kind of textures that will attract people. And there's people who collect different things. So if you have like one of each texture on your table, and then maybe add some ephemera, then you will attract everybody to it. And then as they're looking at the one thing that attracted them, they'll see the other stuff and go, hey, I kind of like that too. And you also want to set it up so it looks like something that they could put in their house. Just to set things, like in a grocery store, for instance. You don't want to set things all in a row. And because grocery stores don't need to do merchandising, really. You just want to find your thing. But if you look at like a department store, you notice they have vignettes. They have little, maybe they'll have a place setting or a little baker shelf with all the stuff in there. Kitchen, all kinds of displays, and a furniture store, maybe he'll have a living room set up, all those kinds of things that you want to give your customers the idea of what they can do with it. And even to have something that has a different purpose for what it's intended for. Like, I had that little hand dish, like it was a dish with a hand like that. And so I put an ornament in it, holding it like a church. And then I had a little that crystal dish that I put the lamb and the tree, so it was a little scene. It doesn't have to hold food or candy or whatever. It can hold all kinds of decor. So you have like a whole set. And if somebody, it hasn't happened to me, but somebody could come alongside, I just want that whole thing, pick it up and go with it. So people need to have help sometimes with figuring out how to arrange things. And the more that you do it for them, and the more that you do it creatively, the more that they're going to be drawn to your booth. And the more that you layer things in there, the more interesting it becomes. Because if somebody sees your booth and they can see everything from where they're standing, and it doesn't look interesting, it just looks like a bunch of stuff put on shelves, maybe you got stuff on the floor, they're just going to keep on walking and go to the next booth. You got to have something that will draw them in, your focal point, something different. It's really easy to source certain things, but there are some things that trust your instinct. Buy something weird but cool and put it in there that matches your decor, because then the people will be drawn into that and say, that's pretty cool, because they're looking for that different. I mean, you can find a basket and some glassware in everyone. There's almost Pyrex in every booth, but it's the things that stand out and the display that you give them that people just want to be inspired. You think like a buyer and not as a seller, because for sellers you're thinking, I just stick it in. There are some people who just stick all the stuff in and just let it sell. And if it works for them, that's fine. But if you want to step it up a level, then do that. And another thing, I mentioned putting things on the floor. Now, there's a little controversy about not having anything on the floor. And the thing is that when your eye level up to kind of like your waist, that area is the prime merchandise area. So it's kind of like from the tabletop to the eye level. You want to have most of your good stuff right there. And if all of your stuff is on a shelf that's below your eye level and to the floor, half of your stuff, half of your merchandising space is not in the prime position. So you want to be able to get that stuff off of there, put it on the wall, put it on tabletops, put it on shelves. It takes a little more effort, but it is worth it because that's what people want. And the stuff that, isn't that great, or you're been there a while, put them down below and then rotate things. It does help to go in every week and move things around, because there are some people who go into your shops every week, maybe even more than once a week. If they see the same, if they see the same blue vase on the same brown shelf, they're just going to think nothing's changed. But if you shuffle things around, then people will notice it. People do notice change. So there are some booths in there that kind of, to me, look the same as they did when I moved in a few years ago. And they have nice stuff, but they don't look any different. For me, mine changes quite a bit because everything basically is on sale. And if someone buys a piece of furniture, all I do is go, yay! I get my report every day, and it'll tell me what went, and I'll be like, uh-oh, I gotta get in there. And what I do is there's a couple booths that don't mind if other vendors buy their furniture. And so I go and shop there first, and then I'll find some piece to replace what's sold. The shop employees will help me bring it over, because they do help. It's their policy to help people with furniture, because for one thing, it is a courtesy, and another thing is employees can maneuver through the shop without making a mess a lot easier than customers. So they will help me bring it over, and then I will up the price to cover the cost and a little bit more, and then wait till it sells again. So it's better to have that little cash flow and little change, to me, than it is to have fixtures in your booth that never sell and never move. Because just imagine you're a customer and you see that perfect shelf in that booth that you think, this is what I want, this is what I need in my bedroom, in my office, wherever it is. And they go to it and it says, not for sale, or is not available. One of those tags, and they're going to be so bummed out, they're not going to shop your booth. But if they go to it and it has a tag that is higher than what they wanted to pay, they won't be as upset. They'll have to come and think, is this worth it to me to put it in my house? And most of the time it isn't, because I price my things up to cover all that cost. But sometimes, every once in a while, I sell that piece, and it's good for me, good for them. So anyways, those are some tips for the shop. Alrighty, well, I can't think of anything else I'm going to do in town, except I have to go to Shipton's to find some gloves for working outside, some insulated gloves, because of my Sjogren's. Is it Sjogren? Yeah, it's Renaud's. I can't remember which one it is. The one that makes my fingers cold in the cold. So I need to have some kind of rubber gloves that are insulated. So I have to find those. But that's really not that interesting to take you along with. So I'm just going to go off and shop by myself. So anyways, I'm rambling. So thank you so much for coming along with me today. I hope you enjoyed it and it was interesting for you. And most of all, I hope you have a joyful day. Goodbye. Okay, one more. I just stopped to get my prescriptions because I forgot that I had called them in. And I had that issue with my original pharmacy location. And I switched them all over to the second location just down the road, same brand name of pharmacy. And I called them this morning and they said, sure, we'll have them ready for you. So I'm like, oh yeah. So I had actually backtracked through town because I had forgot to get in here. There's a sign that says, valued customer, due to illness, our pharmacy is closed. Oh my gosh. There's a couple pills that I'm going to be needing within a week, but luckily I have enough to get me through. So I don't know. I mean, if one person being sick causes this much issue, I am really going to think about changing to a different pharmacy altogether. It's a bit ridiculous. Unless it's a national thing or a local thing where they're having all kinds of pharmacy shortages. Well, anyways, Just thought I'd update you on that. So another tip is to make sure you get your refills when you can get them, the earliest that you can get them, because you never know. So anyways, talk to you later, guys. Hope you have no issues with your prescriptions, and I hope you have a joyful day. Goodbye.